Uh, what's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, this is a fun day. This is a fun day. Team's been working hard. We have a really good release. Alpha 9 of Etch, right on the cusp of another alpha release of ACSS 4.0, which should be later. Probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow on that. But I did a whole stream on ACSS 4.0 progress a day or two ago. Definitely go check that out if you haven't watched that. These two tools together, going to be absolute fire. Recipes. We're going to take a look at today. Game changer. For those of you who have not seen the new mini GUI Figma file, I will show it again in today's stream for Etch. The mini GUI and recipes kind of work together as just massive efficiency while improving scalability and maintainability of your websites. There's just so much fun stuff to look at today. We're going to go through just some simple build. I'm going to share my screen. We should be good. And I'm going to bring in, there's like a little demo. Where's this little stupid demo site? Here we go. Can I get this to, can you go? There we go. Okay. We'll just slip it in there. We'll build like this hero section right here real quick. Like we're not going to do every single little detail. Okay. But we're just going to, whip it up here, little hero. And then I thought about probably like this team section right here. We'll whip that up. What we want to look at today, if you go to etchwp.com/blog, there's an article here, Auto Block Authoring, Core Blocks versus Custom Blocks. I would highly recommend you read this. We have completely refactored our block authoring infrastructure, and you're going to take a look at what that means today, what that looks like, what the workflow looks like. And then you guys can give me feedback. You can tell me in the chat what you think about this. But the thing I'm most excited about, other than obviously this is going to be way easier for us to maintain, way easier for us to make a really good experience out of. But I think the most exciting, most important part is that you are now going to essentially be able to use Etch as a development environment for all this third-party stuff that people do. Third-party pattern libraries, third-party entire websites, like this yoga website. Like you could literally build this entire yoga website in Etch, complete, by the way, with, as you're gonna see, components, loops, conditional logic, on a custom JavaScript, custom PHP, on and on and on and on. Obviously, it automatically, everything gets authored to blocks, and then you could just sell this as a yoga site, plug and play yoga site, where non-Etch users, just any WordPress user, can buy it and add it to their site, install it, and use the blocks, manipulate everything, edit everything. You're going to see. It's going to, so, I mean, it changes the game, right? Because custom block development right now is atrocious. And actually, I've interviewed a lot of people who do custom block development. And the secret of custom block development is that like 90% of custom block development in WordPress is actually ACF block development. They use the ACF dependency to help them build their custom blocks. You're just essentially in WordPress now, just gonna page build custom blocks, right? Visually, just like you would, without any additional effort, just as you would build anything else in WordPress visually, just with an actual professional development environment. I mean, it's gonna be pretty fantastic stuff. Okay, how do you know it's the real Kevin? His browser isn't updated. Yeah, I let these little things hang out here for a little while, just a little while, not too long, you know what I'm saying? Not too long. But I don't rush to click them, okay? I don't rush to click them. Hey, hit like on the stream. We're not gonna do the whole carousel thing. This is bad UX, by the way. This, like, put a carousel in your hero section that's, especially like one like this, that's just scrolls through a lot of nonsense. Actually, not even a carousel, it's just a slider, right? So we're just gonna do a static version of this. I mean, you could absolutely do the slider version, but we're just not gonna bother with it. And I also don't like to promote, just horrific user experience ideas. So we'll do these 2 sections, like I said. Then what I wanna do is I wanna really look at our recipes. Like I wanna go through the entire initial set of recipes so you can get a really cool understanding of how much this is gonna help you, how much this is gonna speed up your workflow, how much typing this is gonna take off of your plate, okay? And then don't let me forget to look at the Figma files. We have to look at some Figma files to see what is coming in terms of UI to Etch to also assist you in not writing CSS, not writing the CSS you don't wanna write or don't care to write, okay? We got a lot to get through. Okay, let's go into Etch. So here I am in WP Admin. I'm just gonna hit Launch Etch, and it's gonna take me to a nice blank slate. So we're gonna start with the hero section, like I said, and we're gonna build a little bit, check on Gutenberg, build a little bit, check on Gutenberg, okay? And just see how things are coming along. So I'm gonna add a section here. This is called Main Hero. This is going to be inner. I'm gonna try my best to use some of the recipes as we go along as well. I'm gonna add 2 flex divs. Got a content wrapper, featured image wrapper. Let's go ahead and put in an image. This is gonna be featured image. As you know, you can easily swap these tags. We're gonna throw a heading, text, and a link. This is gonna be the headline. This is gonna be the heading. We're gonna make that an H1. We're gonna make this the lead, and we're gonna make this the CTA. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, we follow a very logical, structural process and workflow. It's just lots and lots of years of this makes things very, very efficient, makes things very organized, makes things very efficient. We take care of structure first, and then we start to work on the styling side of things, okay? So I've got everything named, I've got everything organized. What I wanna do is I wanna assign classes to all of those things. I'm gonna right click. I do have to tell Brave that I would like to allow that. And then I'm going to create BEM classes. And it's gonna add a class to every single one of these elements, okay? So the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to start styling, or I can throw in an image. You can do really whatever you wanna do. Let's see, which one of these? Let's do the WebP version. All right, so we got an image in there. We're gonna say this is the hero heading right here. I don't really care what the copy says, okay? This is a compelling headline. Notice that we're making that a paragraph because technically speaking, like usually you have a very literal actual heading for SEO purposes, and then you put your marketing copy in what looks to be a heading, but is actually just a paragraph. And then you have another paragraph here, which is your lead. Another shortcut here, if you want, lorem ipsum, you can just type lorem, the amount you want, hit tab, and it will expand into lorem ipsum. We're gonna do button primary here, and that is good for now. I wanna make this a 2-column layout. We're gonna break out a couple different tools and techniques here real quick, okay? First one is I'm gonna kind of take a mobile first approach to this. So what I wanna do is I wanna throw in a media query. I wanna change it to greater or equal, and I'm just gonna choose a random number that I know is gonna be fairly close to what we wanna do. And then I wanna make this a 2-column grid, and I'm gonna use a recipe to do that. I don't wanna type display grid, grid template columns, repeat 2, min max, 0, 1 FR. And then what if I didn't know how to type all of that or didn't remember all of that to type? So I'm gonna type question mark and I'm gonna do grid 2 and I'm just gonna expand and it's gonna give me all of that. That's it, it's just gonna give me all of that. Now in the future, there's gonna be little cute little icons you can click that will just do that for you. It'll just write it for you when you click the icon and it'll be a little bit more visual. But if you're a typer like me, you can just type the recipe name. Notice that it'll auto-suggest it and such, but I just got, and so what we're looking at, it's already responsive because it put it inside of a media query, right? Okay, so, very, very, very simple stuff, but very helpful stuff. I'm gonna align everything to the center and we are off to the races. So what I wanna do first, I don't want this heading to look like the heading, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say font size, and we're gonna do text M. We're gonna do font weight of 400. So we're just gonna kind of cancel that out, make it look like regular text. And then I'm gonna come here and I'm just gonna put an H1 class on here and that's gonna make it look like an H1 heading. And then I'm just gonna shrink this a little bit. So we're gonna do a max inline size of like 40 characters, something like that. And then what I do is I'm just gonna put the pattern in to this little box that they have here, and we just gotta position that little background pattern in, and we can pretty much at that point call it a day on this hero section. So what I'm gonna do is with here, I'm gonna go with background. We're gonna do a URL. I can pop over to my media library. I can see my file right here. I'm gonna find a way, especially when we have our own native media library in here, where you can automatically get relative URLs. For some reason, WordPress always wants to give you the full entire URL when all you really want is the relative path. So you got to do a little shenanigan with your copy paste. We'll get that fixed at some point. We'll find a way around that. We'll make it easier for you. All right, I want to do like padding 1em, something like that, maybe. So she's not, well, I don't even know if that needs padding. Let's do background position. We're gonna need that at some point, and we're gonna need background size, probably maybe of cover. Because I think you can do a negative position. And then we're gonna do a background repeat of no repeat. All right, and then if maybe we just do like negative 150. Maybe you can't do it with cover. Maybe back, there you go, 100%. Okay, let's just move. There you go, save. Okay, let's go back. Let's check out, oh, that's the example website. That won't help us. Let's go to the front end. Let's check it. Looking good, okay? So now what we wanna do, we're gonna say call to action here. Bang, perfect. Everything looking good. I mean, we have our fluid responsive canvas, okay? Looking pretty good, all right? Let's just go check on Gutenberg. Let's just go check on our Gutenberg situation and see how we're doing, okay? There it is. So we've got our main hero, we've got inner, we've got content wrapper, we've got featured image, like everything is as I left it, right? And I'm able to, you see me, I'm just like kind of dragging things around. I'm able to manipulate it around if I want to. Of course, you can always, you can type right on the canvas. You can type in the little inputs over here. And then what I can do is actually, you can save this as a pattern, right? So you could save this as like main hero, and you could put it in a category. I think they already have one. Do they have a heroes? They don't have a heroes category. Can you make a category from right here? I haven't even played around with this much. I don't want to make it a synced pattern. Okay, I guess it took hero. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and hit add, and now it's a save pattern. And you guys have seen this before a little bit, right? There it is right there. You've seen this a little bit before, right? But the difference now is rock solid one-to-one rendering. Caveat. Most people don't know this. There are two versions of the block editor. There's a pre-3 API version, which is a non-iframe version, and there's a post-3 API version, which is an iframe version. And the plugins that you have installed in your stack determine whether you're gonna see the iframe version or the non-iframe version. Now, very soon they are going to force the iframe version on everybody. Right now, it is determined based on the plugins installed. If you have any plugin on your install that's pre-3 API, it will render your site in the non-iframe version. If this sounds like a cluster, then you're right. It absolutely is. They totally screwed this up, okay? Which is why they're finally going to force people into using the iframe rendering version. So when we say one-to-one rendering, I think actually you see here a little bit of a thing. Like Gutenberg is adding that underline in that button. That's not us adding that. Gutenberg just decided that all buttons or all links need to have underlines. Dumb. I didn't ask for it. The CSS in Gutenberg is horrific. But one-to-one rendering will happen in the iframe rendition of the block editor. If you are doing something where it's causing the iframe to not render, and it's the really, really old block editor rendering, well, there's no guarantees there. But that's all gonna go away because they're gonna force the iframe very soon. But that's the one caveat. So I'm gonna show you how to figure out if you have the iframe version or the non-iframe version, because a lot of people don't know, they don't even know how to check. And they didn't make it easy. They didn't, at least to my knowledge, they didn't make it easy to check. You literally have to inspect your page. And you have to go in here and you have to see if you see an iframe. And if you see an iframe that's essentially wrapping all of your content, then you have the iframe version. And if you don't see that iframe, if you're like scrolling up and down, I see no iframes, you probably don't have the iframe version. And if you see rendering issues in that version is causing the rendering issues. It's not Etch, it's WordPress, okay? So just that's a caveat to be aware of. But as you can see, like we've already made, like all I did was build a hero section. That's all I did. But the benefit that I got out of that was I now have a pattern that is in the WordPress native pattern library that the client, your client, can literally now come in here and edit their website. This is the thing that you've said that you've wanted all the time, right? And it makes it very, very easy for them. Now, what we have to look at is but what about more advanced stuff? What about, Kevin, because you got components in Etch, you've got dynamic data in Etch, you've got loops in Etch, you've got conditional logic in Etch. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot. How's that gonna work? Okay, so let's just keep working. Let's just keep working. So we'll go back in here. We're gonna add another section. We're gonna call this team. Let me capitalize that because I have OCD, okay? We're gonna make a section intro. We're gonna make a section intro component. And we'll put a little conditional logic into it. And then what I'll also do is I will put another container in here, and that is going to be our team list. Okay, so our list of our team members. Inside of that, I'll put a team card. I will make this an article. Inside of that, I will go with a content wrapper, and that's gonna have a heading and text. And then I'm gonna go with a media. Actually, I'm gonna call this a headshot wrapper. We'll make that into a figure as well. And then I'm gonna put my headshot in. We're just gonna build it static first, and then we'll work our way to building a dynamic thing that has components and maybe some other stuff, okay? This is gonna be called the title. We've got the name of the person. And so that looks good right there. What I wanna do is right click, create my BEM classes. Put classes on all those things. Why don't we right click and say, convert this to a list? So it's a nice semantic list. Let's put a team list class on here. And then we are ready to rock and roll with our component. Well, what we could do maybe first is our grid. So let's just see it as a real thing, right? So team list, again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, hey, I want a media query. I want it greater or equal to. I want it to be around 1,000. We'll check and see where we wanna make adjustments later. I don't really care right now. And then again, we're gonna say grid 5, okay? That's gonna get me a nice 5-column grid with the best practices already baked in. I don't have to write anything, it just does it for me, okay? And then we can check, like it's gonna snap from 5 to 1 at 1,000. Maybe we don't want that. Maybe we wanna try a different kind of grid. Maybe we don't even want media queries. Maybe we wanna try a variable grid. Okay, and we can say, hey, there needs to be maybe a minimum size that these should be, and then they should automatically start to scale down and stack, right? When they hit that minimum size, we just have an automatically responsive grid. That's one kind of automatic grid. We have another kind of automatic grid, literally called auto grid, and this one is very advanced, but you can just come in here and you can say, hey, I want 5 columns. And if there's enough space to give you 5 columns, it'll give you 5 columns. If there's not enough space to give you 5 columns, it won't, okay? And I don't even know if I added 5 cards. Let's duplicate the card, there we go. So we get our 5 items right there. And then this, so I've just put in 2 fairly advanced types of auto grids without really writing any CSS. And we're gonna see that I just get automatically responsive behavior in both cases, okay? So that's all nice and fine. Let's just leave it like that. Who cares? Okay. All right. Good. And you see the benefit of this kind of auto grid is that if there wasn't 5 items, the 4 items would take up the available space. There wouldn't be like a 5th slot, like an opening, like a nothing there, right? A blank item. Okay. You know, like who really knows how to write all that? I don't. You know, nobody I know, right? So. And who wants to, you know, just use the recipe and move on with your life. Okay, so let's see what we want to do here. Let's just check on Gutenberg. I actually don't know if the auto grid situation will even work I don't know. We haven't checked any of this stuff yet. We're doing this live. Okay, it works. All right, so let's go back. We're making our way there. We need to do a couple other things with this. I'm going to take the figure and I'm going to order it -1. I'm going to put that on top. I want to take the actual image itself and I want to force a square aspect ratio. I want to put a border radius of radius on there, and that seems pretty good. I want to make this an H3, and I'm going to get rid of the others that we don't actually need at this current time. Okay, let's just make sure that we have one, and I'll do that again because I did it on the wrong one. So we'll go H3, perfect. Okay, sounds good. I did the border radius. How about we take this area right here, and what I want to do, I don't know, maybe I don't know, Kevin, I don't know, flex this, flex that. I just want to center this stuff. That's all I want to do. I just want to center all that, center all of it right here. The heading, the title, just center it all. Okay. All right. I got you, fan. Let me take you down here. How about center all? All right. How's that? Is that good enough? Okay. Now we're centered. We're going to say person's name. All right. We're going to say person's title. All right. And then let's just drop a gap in here. Maybe we do a little card gap action right there. Okay. Fantastic. So styling is coming along. I think what we should probably do is turn this into a component now. Okay. So let's right click. Let's create a component here. And I'm just going to decide, what I want. See, I can still see my whole page. I'm not in a magic area. I can still see everything. Okay. I'm editing inline, component editing inline. All right, so what I'm going to decide is what do I need to create properties for? Props, right? So I know that I need the person's name. I know I need their title. I know I probably need their headshot, okay? So let's say name, let's say title, let's say headshot. And then we could also say maybe their headshot alt, okay? Headshot alt, all right? We'll do some alt text. So I'm just gonna take this name right here and I'm gonna click that target this right here, target this right here. I'll throw the default in from the media gallery. We wanna use this one as the default and person's name. Actually, I'm just gonna leave the alt blank. Okay, that's gonna be up to the user to throw in. All right, let's just go ahead and exit and see what we've got here. So we've got a component. If you're wondering, did you just create a whole component that quickly? The answer is yes, I did just do that. I did just create it that quickly, okay? You can click on any of these and now they can have unique names. We'll say Bev, right? There you go. And then they can have a title and I can switch the headshot if I want to, okay? So let's just go ahead and save that. Let's just check on Gutenberg. What is Gutenberg up to these days, So I'm just gonna click this, I'm gonna go back. Oh, there they are. Wait a minute. Oh, they're components. Oh God, they're sync patterns. They're sync patterns in the synced pattern library. And they have exposed props on them where I can now just go in on this one and maybe change this. And so if the user wants to come in, the editor, whoever's editing the website wants to come in and throw some of these into a little grid, they can, and they can switch these, but we want to put them in a loop, don't we? We want to put them in a loop. So we'll just see if that translates. All right, so let's just keep working. Let's just go back into Etch and let's just keep plodding along, I don't think we've done anything super crazy thus far. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to get rid of the extras, right? And I want this list item right here. This is the thing I want to loop, to repeat, right? So I'm going to just right click, wrap in a loop here. I configured a little team loop for us, okay? And this, I'll show you where the team loop is configured. You just go to the loop manager team, and it's just a little query, little WordPress query, okay? Just saying, hey, I want my team. I want a dynamic count. I want only the ones that are published, okay? We're gonna order by date, descending. That's it, very simple, okay? And then I choose it over here. And all I have to do is come down because it's wanting to know my count. How many of these do I want? And I'm just gonna say, I just want all of them right now. So we'll just do -1. And there you go, right there. We're just looping through all of them. Now, what can I do here? I have one component, but I see 5 of them. How do I get the content in there for each one? And we just do that with a little bit of dynamic data, right? So what we're gonna do is item dot, and then we actually don't have a custom field for the title yet, so we'll do that in a minute. Person's name is gonna be the title of the post, because those are posts in WordPress. And so I want the title of the post. And now you're gonna see I got Tonina and Emma and John and Jenny and Josephine. Now, none of these people look like them, okay? So what I'm gonna do is item.featuredImage, and bang, now I've got all of my people, right? I'm gonna go add a custom field to show you how that would be done in just a second. But I'm gonna save there, and let's just go check back on Gutenberg, right? Oh, there they are, a working loop. And you can see here the dynamic data is passing through and it's parsing, okay? No problem whatsoever rendering dynamic data. Keep in mind, all of this is going to work when we hit phase 2 very soon. All of this is gonna work even if the user doesn't even have Etch. You can build this team grid right here and give this to somebody, and they could use it with however they want to use it, okay? Without Etch, with or without Etch, you know? So that'll be nice. Let's go back into Etch here. What do we want to do? Maybe let's do our section intro component here. Don't let me forget to do this custom field. You know, people are probably going to want to see this. I'm going to throw in a heading. I'm going to throw in a text paragraph. We're going to do kind of the same thing we did in the hero, where we have like an SEO heading for the section, and then we have a headline, which is actually like your marketing copy that looks like the heading, but actually isn't the heading. And then we'll have another paragraph for the lead text, and we'll have another thing for the button right here. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna test out our conditional logic capabilities. Like we did dynamic data, we did loops, we did components already, done all these things already. Let's just see if conditional logic is alive and well. So I'm gonna take this is gonna be the actual section heading. This is going to be the headline, which I'm gonna throw in maybe lorem 10, 10 characters, probably get the job done there. Here I'm gonna throw in maybe lorem 25, okay? That might do the job there for our intro. This is gonna be a call to action, bang, just like that. And I can make it, I can style it now. I can make it a component now. I can do whatever I wanna do. Heading, we need to name them a little bit here though. This is gonna be headline. This is going to be lead. This is gonna be CTA. Now, we've got copy and paste versions of these. People are gonna make a lot. You can copy paste things into Etch. So if somebody else makes something really cool, like some awesome section intro component, they could just give it to you. You can just copy it, paste it right in, start using it. All the props work, all the logic works, everything works out of the box. I'm gonna make a very, very, very simple one from scratch, just so you can see how it's done, okay? I am ready to auto BEM this, so we'll create our BEM classes, and we'll come in here and we'll say that maybe on I'm gonna add a container query now. Let's do a has-me. Let's do a container query, and we'll say if the container inline size is greater or equal to 900, maybe 900, we'll center all. Okay, we'll just center everything. Notice where'd that come from? Oh, where'd that come from? Just a little recipe. I'm just cooking with recipes now. That's all I'm doing. Okay, it's not difficult. Now we're gonna come into the heading. We're gonna do the same thing we did above, but I'll give it maybe a little bit. Well, no, we'll just do the same thing. Font size of text M. Font weight. Let's leave this one a little bold. Yeah, maybe maybe text transform it a little bit. Okay, let's make it a little bit different, a little bit unique, right? Give it a little letter spacing, 0.25 M, something like that, 3545, something like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe instead of M, we go S. Okay, let's bring that in. With this headline, let's just drop an H1. Actually, no, we want that to look more like an H2. So let's drop an H2 on there. This lead paragraph, all good there. I think we're good there, okay? Let's go ahead. I'm gonna target all children. You can do you can do nesting in here. You can do a lot of fancy shit. We're gonna say max inline size of 40 characters, 50 characters. What feels right? What feels right? What feels right? Let's just do that, okay? All right, so that should go left aligned. Look at that, it goes left aligned, okay? As it breaks down below 900 pixels, okay? It's gonna go automatically just left align everything for us. So that's nice. Let's throw some conditional logic in. Let's make it a component. I'm gonna right click, create component. We've got our section intro. I'm gonna say, first of all, we need props. We need a prop for the heading. We need a prop for the headline. We need a prop for the lead. We need a prop for the button label. We need a prop for the button URL. That's the destination. And then we'll do some extra props after that. Okay, but we've got heading. We've got headline. We've got lead. You can name these whatever you want. This is just how I name things, okay? If you think I'm dumb, you can do whatever you want. It's fine. Button label, and you could do button link, okay? We'll put a default in there. This will be called to action. Can I even, let me check this real quick. Lead, what happens if I do it now? Okay, yeah, it's gonna use what was already there. So I don't need to do all this nonsense ahead of time. Okay. Let's go. The headline is that one, and the heading is that one. Perfect. And we could talk about how to do the H1 versus H2 kind of stuff, perhaps if we want to get there. I do want to get to all the recipes. The recipes are really, really cool. And we got to talk more about those. We got to save time, make sure that we get to those. Okay. So what I've done here, I need to go to my button. Here's my href. I'm just going to put in props dot, and I'm just looking at these keys right here. Let me zoom in for you. You see this? Button link. Are you smart enough to type that word right there? Okay, you're smart enough to use Etch. Congratulations, okay? So you just type button link, okay? Just like, hey, just what I see there. These are props, and they have names. So you write props dot the name of the prop. If you could send an email, you could do this. I'm pretty sure, okay? It's not that difficult. Okay, so let's just go exit. Let's see how our little section component is coming together. So this would be like meet our team, right? And this headline would be like the absolute best yoga instructors on the planet, okay? You know, every company just wants to, everything we do. We got the best instructors, we got the best classes, we got the best programs, we got the best prices. They all say the same nonsense. Okay. I actually don't want to lead here. I don't want to lead. I don't want a button either, actually. Okay. So what we need is we need a little flexibility in this component. We need the ability to say, I don't want to lead. I don't want a button. I don't want those things. I just want the heading and the headline. Okay. So let's drop in a couple Booleans. Okay. We're going to make one of them has lead. We're going to make another one say has CTA. Has CTA. And these are just yes or no. Does it or does it not? Okay, very, very simple. Now we're gonna go to that lead, that thing that I want to control the visibility of, right click, and I'm gonna say wrap in condition. It's gonna put a little condition. I'm just gonna check now. Can you write props and then this name right here? Props has lead, can you write that? Okay, props dot has lead. There you go. You have conditional lead, okay? Now you go to the CTA, right click, wrap in condition, same thing. Props dot has CTA. Are you smart enough to write that? Okay, then you can have a working CTA. Props dot has CTA. Oh, I capitalized. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You got to be smart enough to write what you see. Okay, you can't go off the reservation and just write your own shit. All right, let's save. Let's exit. And now here I am in this section right here where I say, you know what? I don't want the lead. Don't want the CTA. Let's just rock and roll with that right there. And so we'll go to the front end. Boom. There's our grid, there's our section, okay? We want this one to be white. So what I'll do is in this team, okay? Team section, bang, background of white, okay? And then let's go back to the front, boom. All right, so now we've got a nice little tan hero up here going into a white section. That's all great, fine and dandy. Let's go check on Gutenberg. So I'm gonna go back. We're gonna come down. And here we are. There's our little intro. Oh, you could control whether it has a lead or a CTA right here. You know, if we were going to do another section, right? Let's go back into Etch for a second. Let's add a section right here. And let's come down and say, oh, you know what? Starting a new section. What are we going to need? We're going to need a section intro. So I'm going to go right here and I'm just going to add one of those section intros. And then I'm going to decide one, what it should say, and two, you know, should this one have a lead? Should this one have a CTA? What should they have? What shouldn't they have? I could also do like, it needs to be a line left. It needs to be 2 columns. I can build in whatever kind of, you know, variation that I want, just continuing down the path of conditional logic. And I can make these things do whatever I want them to do. And then again, in Gutenberg, you know, if the person editing the site, like Bev comes behind you and Bev, or it could be John. It could be John, you know, John from legal. I've met a lot of Johns from legal lately, you know, because of certain situations. So John from legal does often want to edit the website too. So he could come in and he could say, well, that one doesn't really, we don't need a lead there. He's going to override Bev, right? He's just going to, Bev wanted a lead. I don't want a lead. This is how websites in corporate world get edited, I guess. And that's it. So that one can have it. Let me make this one different from the other one. There you go. So now you can see the variance. Like this one doesn't have a lead. This one clearly has a lead. Same component, multiple instances, all working well. We go in here and we can see, if we go to patterns, right? My patterns, Gutenberg's not that great, so all your previews are gonna be broken, but you can see that you have a section intro component, you have a team card component, you have a main hero now. We're just building a site. That's all we're doing. We're building a site, but this stuff's just showing up in Gutenberg for your clients, for whoever needs to come in and use these things without ever going into Etch, right? So it's not like, when I'm done with this project, Bev or John, they'll be able to assemble entire landing pages if they want to, right? Just create entire new pages with the patterns that I built as the developer, right? And with the choices that I gave them through props, through conditions, things like this, okay? This is just really, really, really nice. Let's stop and just let's talk to the chat. Let's see how the chat's getting on with it, okay? How many people we got these days too? 220, wow, okay. On an impromptu, this is an impromptu live stream. This had 30 minutes of lead time. 30 minutes of lead time. Okay, I don't want John or Bev to edit anything. Hey, smart man, Andre. Smart man, Andre. When can we expect restrictions? You will get restrictions, don't worry. You will be able to lock them down. If you don't want them touching anything, you will be able to lock them down. Bev, John, they're gonna come in, they're gonna be super upset. They're gonna think they can click on it. They just can't click on it. It's not gonna work for them. And you're gonna be able to decide what they can and cannot, interact with. That's our goal. That's our goal, because that would be the most flexible thing, right? With this loop right here, like I want them to be able to come in if you want them to, right? You got to work together. If you want them to choose, what they're looping through or how many, like that count. Remember that count where I said, hey, I want to see them all? Well, what if I only want to see 3 right here? Well, I want to be able to give them that ability to change this to 3 instead of unlimited or whatever it is, right? We can pass that through as a prop potentially. So there's a lot still to come. This is just showing you the, how far we've made it and how solid it is to this point, especially with this new architecture refactor, much, much more rock solid than trying to hijack core blocks, which we were doing before. And as you can say, slots are working, component slots are working now. I mean, we've got working loops, working components, working conditional logic, working dynamic data, working slots, light work, I guess. I can say that. I just boss people around. Okay, so we need to go check out some of the, I'm going to direct you real quick. docs.etchwp.com. These are in here officially now, okay? These are official. So you go to utilities, you go to recipes. There's a little introduction to recipes. And then there's a little blurb about custom recipes. We should probably read this together, right? Right now, the only recipes available in Etch are native recipes provided by the Etch team. However, in the future, users will have the ability to create, edit, export, share, and even sell recipe libraries, okay? So stay tuned. You will be able to make and share your own, which will be really, really, really fantastic. We've got some accessibility recipes in here. Clickable parent, focus parent, we'll take a look at those. We've got our first color recipe. Nobody wants to write this color mix function. Nobody wants to do that. We've got some fade recipes we'll take a look at. We've got some flex recipes you already saw, flex row, flex call. We've got a bunch of centering options available to you. We've got some great grid recipes. Content grid is a recipe. Auto grid is a recipe. Variable grid, grid 1 to 12. We got some uneven grid recipes that you can throw in there. We've got some miscellaneous recipes, columns. I didn't fit masonry in yet. I'll fit masonry in probably in the next update. You'll be able to just hit masonry and create a masonry layout. It's essentially a columns layout. It uses the CSS columns spec to do masonry, but there might be, I mean, we could try it. We could try, I think there's one little caveat, like difference. But I mean, we can take a look at it. Line clamp, concentric radius. Oh, that's a big one. Let's maybe do a little concentric radius in a minute. I just want to walk through some of these recipes with you together because this is just the cusp of it, right? Like, and you can see where this is going to go and how powerful this is actually going to get. Let's start from the top. Let's do accessibility recipes, okay? For those who are lost, maybe it's their first time here, in the chat, describe real quick. I mean, they could just read it. They could just read it, but explain clickable parent while I go do this, explain clickable parent, focus parent to people in your words, and I'm just gonna go do it and demonstrate it. Okay, let's get rid of some of our tabs. Let's go back into Etch. Before we continue, how are we feeling in the chat? Can we get a LFG? Can we, like, if you're excited, if you're hopeful for the future, can we get an LFG? Or you can put in random comments. Let's get a little more energy going in the chat. I think maybe they're just mesmerized. I don't know. When to use grid 2 or auto grid 2? There's no auto grid 2 anymore, really. It's just auto grid in general. Okay, I need, okay, there you go. So Nick is explaining it to people. I need the card to have a link, but no link on the card, link on the heading. So you want the card to be clickable, but you need to make it accessible. And wrapping the entire card, so you're wrapping the image and potentially a heading and a lead paragraph. And let's do the custom field before I will forget. If we don't do the custom field now, I'm gonna forget it. So let's just get out of here. By the way, you will very, very, very soon be able to do all of your, like, you can already create custom CPTs in Etch, custom fields in Etch, very basic ones, but it's experimental right now. That'll be, right around the corner. You'll be able to just ditch ACF, ditch Metabox, ditch Crock-a-Block, whatever, Jednet, whatever you're doing, whatever flavor of blocks and post types you've got going on. So I'm going to go with field groups, add new group, team, and we're just going to add a text field. That's going to be the title, okay? And really, person's title, person title. Naming things is hard. Person title, let's call it a person title. Okay, and then we need to assign that to our team so that when we go to team and we open all of these up, we can see their title, okay? Yoga instructor. We're gonna have to make some of these maybe a little different. And, I'm not feeling super creative. What are we gonna do? Manager? We need a Karen to make the manager. John, hey, John, there you are. John, legal. Dang, all right, look at that. Jenny, Jenny. What are you gonna do, Jenny? She's also a yoga instructor, whatever. Okay, and then we got Josephine. What's Josephine gonna do? Josephine, she leads meditation. I don't know. All right. All the yoga people are rolling their fucking eyes. The eyes are in the back of their head right now. All right, let's go to launch Etch. Let's come on in. So, we've deployed a few instances. Well, actually, it's only one instance because we put it in a loop. But even if you had deployed 1,000 instances of this thing, it doesn't really matter. It's a component, So what we're going to do is we actually already have the person's title. I'm going to show you the loop real quick, okay? We're going to go to the loop manager. We're going to go to the team. We have this. If you're new here, if you haven't seen these things before, you could see the entire output of any loop, okay? So you see all the keys that are available to you, all of the values. Let's go down and see where we might find our, here you go. Okay, can I zoom in? There you go. ACF puts a little object in here, okay? Person title, yoga instructor. So what I need to do is I need to pull ACF dot person title. That's what I need to pull, okay? Supposedly. All right, so I'm gonna come in and for the title, I'm gonna do item.acf dot person title, okay? Person title, look at them all there. Let's go back into Gutenberg. Look at them all. There's John. Illegal. Okay. So it's about as easy as that. Like, I don't know. I know one way it could get a little easier. Okay. It will actually get even easier than that. I mean, honestly, you got to be a little bit, you're at this point, you're getting to the territory of like, really, you want it to be even easier? But I mean, it could be like, I could click a little icon on here and it could be like, hey, here's the keys that you probably want. You just want to click on one or something, or do you want to like search for one and I'll just put it in there for you? Like the UI could do that. It could do that. It will get even easier. And at that point, what are we even talking about here? You shouldn't even be, it's just, your job's too easy at that point. Okay. See, it's always somebody. Always somebody. No, he's just trolling. I'm just looking at chat real quick, just see what we've got going on. Okay, does Etch work with MetaBox right now? Connery, I got great news for you. It absolutely does, buddy. It works with Jet Engine. It works with MetaBox. It works with ACF. ACPT's next. Yeah, works with all those things. Okay, let's go ahead and what were we gonna do? We were gonna do clickable parent. We don't have any posts for these. I mean, I think we do in the back end. What if we wanted to click on these cards? We want the entire card to be clickable. Okay, so let's go down. Right now, nothing is clickable, obviously. We want the entire card to be clickable. We don't want to wrap the card in a link. Okay, we've been over this a gazillion times. What you want is to link the relevant content. That is Tonina or Emma or John, like the person's name, okay? And you could even add some aria if you wanted to, like, view Tonina's profile, whatever you want it to be. But we have to put a link on the word Tonina. Technically speaking, inside of the word Tonina, all right? Or inside of the actual heading. So I'm gonna edit this. And this is gonna be, you're gonna see here, right? This is interesting too. Like if I hit this link button, you're gonna see it puts the link inside of the heading because it knows that's a thing. That's a thing. Like, if you're gonna put a heading or a link on this heading, the proper markup is that the link goes inside the heading, okay? Now, what if you wanted the link next to the heading? Like you wanted to add a link, but not in that heading, but like next to that heading as a sibling, okay? You could just hold Command and click the button and now it's gonna add it as a sibling. So you have control over how it's inserting that link. But there's a lot of interfaces where you can't get a link inside that thing to save your damn life, right? But Etch is gonna put that in there for you just by default. And the best way to handle this is just to take the props.name thing right there, right? And just Command X it out and then take the click me that it put it in there and just replace it essentially. And so now person's name is actually a link. And we can verify this by coming out. Now you see that they're not the color that I want, right? So I can go ahead and edit that. So I'm gonna come in here and I might say, I think because all these are controlled with, it's all tokenized in automatic CSS, right? I can just say like text dark. So there it is, text dark. And then I think it's like link hover color or link color hover. It's one of the two, okay? I don't actually want this to, there you go. See, what a guess, what a guess. So I'm gonna save there. I don't want that to look like a link. I don't want it to look like a link, okay? But it is in fact a link. Now, where are we gonna link it to? We would link it to the item.url.relative, all right? So that's where it's gonna go. Now I'm gonna refresh here and we see I do have a linkable thing, a clickable link. But remember I said I wanted the entire thing to be linkable, clickable, whatever. And when I focus, look at the focus. Where's the focus going? The focus is going on the word. I want the focus to be on the entire thing. Okay, well, this is there is a technique to doing this, and it's not particularly easy to remember. I've written it so many times that I know what it is, but nobody really wants to remember how to do this, okay? So what we need is just a really easy way to do it. That's all we need. We just need a really easy way to do it. So I'm gonna go to Team Card, and I'm going to do my little question mark, and I'm gonna say clickable parent. And this is why you see, right? It's not a ton, but it's, why? Why do we want to? Plus, there's an extra layer. If you want your stuff to be clickable, like the elements selectable still on the canvas, there is a step to, excluding that effect or whatever you want to call it from the builder so that I can still interact with these things, okay? So that's that. So I've got a clickable parent pretty much done, should be. And then I need a second step, which is called focus parent, because I want the parent to be clickable and I want the parent to be focusable. So I'm gonna do question mark and I'm gonna say focus parent. It's gonna put a focus parent recipe in there. And I'm gonna save and I'm gonna go back to the front end, okay? And we're gonna see that the entire thing is clickable and the entire card is focusable. And I didn't have to do a damn thing other than knock stuff on my desk over. Other than, I get very animated. My wife hates it. My wife hates my hand movements, okay? Other than write a question mark and just go, I just want clickable parent there and I want focus parent there and I want to move on with my life. And it's not even utility classed. It's literally attached to the BIM class, like the component, the thing. This is gonna ship. What if the person doesn't have automatic CSS? This originally came from automatic CSS. All these things have fallbacks. What if I'm gonna ship this to a non-ACSS user? It's still gonna work. It's not a utility class that they have to import with a bunch of no. It just ships with the component. That's all it does, okay? Just works out of the box. So now I've got accessible cards, not just clickable cards, but accessible cards without much work, right? Okay. Let's see. Yes. The reason we switched recipes to question mark, and I'm sure you'll understand, you use the @ symbol sometimes, like @ media, container query, @ container, right? We wanted to get a symbol that is not used in CSS, okay? No conflicts, no potential for conflict, just question marks. Don't think they're ever used. There may be some like very rare edge case, but that's not going to matter because you have to start with a question mark. So if it doesn't start with a question mark, it's not going to trigger anything. So it's just safer. It's just safer. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God, Robert. I can't put that. I can't put that on the screen, my man. You're gonna get us canceled. Okay. Okay. All right. We're getting rowdy in the chat. Let's go back to recipes. So we saw clickable parent, we saw focus parent. Okay, color recipes. Well, what if I want to make something a little transparent, okay? Like this legal word right here, okay? So I'm gonna go back and edit my component. This title, all right? I want the color to be text dark. Now I do have a text. I'm just making stuff up right now. Like I could just do text dark muted. I have one of those already. It's already like what I want. But let's say I wanted a custom transparency of some kind, right? Question mark, color, mix, bang. There it is, okay? I can replace these colors with whatever I want. That's transparent. And then you see it, it's already working right here on the thing. And then if I wanted to replace this with a variable color, I could, black or primary or whatever I want to do, primary, dark even. Like it's up to me, right? But I don't want to write this color mix function over and over and over and over again. So I just want to do a little question mark, color mix. Okay, move on with my life. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be able to do that for linear gradients. We're gonna be able to do that for backgrounds. We're gonna be able to do that for just a lot of things that you just don't wanna have to type, okay? You don't wanna have to type, you just wanna move quick. All right, let's go back and let's look at, fade recipes. I haven't even tested these, so we'll see if they work. They're from automatic CSS. I haven't tested the conversion over into Etch yet, so let's test it together. So we've got fade block. Now these are interesting fades because they are real fades. They're real fades. They use masks to do the fades, as you're gonna see, okay? And so they're very safe. They won't mess up any background. There won't be any collisions with backgrounds or patterns or gradients or anything like that. It literally is like getting rid of part of the element in a fade effect. But you can fade the block axis, you can fade the inline axis, or the top, the right, the bottom, or the left independently. We'll do fade inline, one of my favorites, fade inline. So let's just go to this image right here, and let's do fade inline, okay? I mean, what are we even doing here, okay? So that's just an example, right? And if you faded block, it would do the top and the bottom. If you fade the whole thing, you can fade the whole thing. So yeah, these are, great, fantastic, right? Fantastic. This block up here might have been a good one to fade, Let's go to section, it's not section intro, it's the content wrapper, the feature. We can probably do it on the featured image wrapper, okay? Let's just do fade inline there. There you go, look at that, okay? Doesn't she look so much more peaceful now? Look at, dude, that increased peacefulness at least 30-40% right there, okay? I don't know, maybe you don't like it, you can remove it, it's okay. If I was selling it to Bev, I would go the peacefulness route for sure, 100%, They're, the Bevs of the world, they're very emotional. They get into those emotional arguments. Okay. I'm just throwing stuff around over here. Let's go to flex recipes. We already saw our centering. I'll explain this to you because it might be a little, you're like, hold on, center right. What does that do? Okay. You can do a quick demonstration of this. We'll actually do it with, this is already a grid, so we can't do it there. I don't want to break any of this stuff. Let's go just do a dummy page. And, let's just check on, oh God, there's our fades. Look at that. Oh man, looking just absolutely gorgeous in the block editor. All right, let's go add page. Let's go sandbox. We're just playing around. Let's go edit with Etch and let's drop in a section. We're gonna just do a random class. Did you know you can do that? You can just go rand and just get a randomly generated class. Let's do a min height of 60 VH. Got a little block action in there. Okay, move me, right? I'm gonna come down here and we are going to use our center, okay? So center, I have all, right? So that's like center all axes. It's just, hey, just put it in the center of the box, right? Put it in the center of the box. Let's take that out, okay? By the way, I will tell you, and I'll show you the UI in just a second, but when we have the mini GUI is essentially gonna be auto-inserting these recipes for you, but they'll be contextually aware of what they inserted to where if you click them again, it'll just take that same code right back out, right? So you won't have to even manually delete it if you don't want it. Like you click a button, it adds it, and then you're like, ah, shit, wrong button. You click it again, it'll just take it right back out. It knows what it added, and it's just gonna remove it for you at that point. So let's do a center left, okay? So you can see. So it's left side vertically centered in the box. And then obviously, center right would probably do the opposite. You're getting the point now, right? So if you just make a box and you just use these, center bottom, put it at the bottom of the box in the center, okay? These are very, very, very quick, very, very easy and simple. All right, let's go back and see what else we've got going on. So we've got grids. Content grid right here. Remember that used to be a utility class? Nah, let's not play that game anymore. Let's just, because I want it actually assigned to my main hero or this other hero, another hero, right? Let's call this inner. Perfect. And let's just do, what we're gonna do? We're gonna throw an image in here, okay? And that image is going to be, none of these are high res. None of these are high res. So it's not gonna look great, guys. It's gonna look a little blurry. They're not high res. Let's see, 610 pixels. Wow, that's not great. So what we're gonna do is say another hero, right? And I wanna use content grid on this section so that I can easily, oh, you know what? Let me throw my intro in there. Let me throw my section intro in there. Bang. Ooh, look at that. I got a section intro, okay? Another hero. Here's another compelling headline, okay? And then we've got our lead text. I don't want to lead, I don't want to lead. I don't want a CTA, okay? Let's just keep it easy. So there we go. Now what we want to do, we want to make the image container touch the edges of the screen. Obviously that's a problem because we have a gutter, you know what I'm saying? Like Our stuff doesn't just touch the edges around here, okay? We have more sense than that. We have more sense than that. But sometimes we want it to touch the edge of the screen, right? I mean, you could remove the padding, but then how are you gonna manage this situation up here? Now your intro is gonna be touching the edge of the screen. You know, well, there are solutions to these things. Content grid is one of the solutions. So I can come in here and just say content grid, bang, and I got it. Now, content grid, as you're gonna see, you know, nobody's just sitting around here writing these things by hand. It's not what you wanna do. It's not the life you wanna live, okay? But you can just throw a recipe in there, and now you can come into like this inner right here, all right, which has this random class on it, and we can go grid column full. Oh my God, look at that. We're already, that's not the right preview window. Let's do this one. We're already touching the edge of the screen now. I don't think this is full. Let's go to inner, grid column, full. Let me see what's going on here. Is it the image that's not stretching? Container, did it max width? Yep, no, that's working. Grid column full. Is it the image itself? Width of 100%. It's not the image itself. All right, we're gonna have to do a little debugging on that one. Height auto display block. Not seeing right off the bat what it might be. Let's go to the grid itself. Oh, you can see the grid columns right here. Maybe, oh, now my phone's ringing. Maybe, let's just do a little quick inspection. Maybe we can figure it out, okay? Okay, I put the content grid on there. Yeah, what content grid is supposed to do, it might be missing an instruction from the conversion because I believe it's supposed to, because content grid has its own gutter. It's supposed to clear the gutter out when you add the content grid. It's probably missing one instruction, but that's literally what it does right there. And then let's make sure, let's see if it's complete. Nope, see, yeah, there's still a gutter. Content grid has its own baked in gutter. It's the same gutter as your entire website, okay? But you can expand things to the outside of it or put them in, like I'll show you now, there's other feature zones you can do. Like you could say, I wanna feature max this, which will just be wider than the normal content width of your website. And there's different zones and you can actually program how wide those zones actually are. And they apply to anywhere you're using content grid. It's a very, very handy system. You can go to docs.automaticCSS.com and look for content grid, and you're gonna find this nice little doc, and that's gonna explain how content grid works. And here's all the visualizations. You have your normal content zone, you have a feature zone, a feature max zone, a full width zone, a full width safe zone, and you can even put custom element widths on there as well. Very flexible, very powerful stuff. Okay, that's not what you came for though. We're gonna keep going. So I did content grid. I showed you the other normal grids, variable grid, auto grid, miscellaneous recipes. Let's take a look at line clamp, concentric radius, and columns, and then I'll just do Q&A after that, okay? I think we've seen enough of what we need to see. So let's do columns first, and then let's do masonry, okay? Let's say we wanted to take our team cards, okay? I just have 4 of them right here, and put them in like a list format, like a columns, like this would kind of be like a masonry layout. Why don't I do content first, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do P times 5, and I think what we can do, P is lorem 20. Will this actually expand? I can't remember. P lorem 20, P lorem, P. Let me try one thing first. P, no, wrong bracket. Nope, wrong brackets, Kevin. P, okay, lorem, boom, no. I'm not a emit expert yet. P, it's not this, is it? How do you do content inside of something? Test, no, that gives you an actual thing. P, test, P, test. Nope, it's not those. Okay, let's do P times 15, 10, 5, 5. Let's do P times 5, okay? Let's do, actually, I could probably get away with multi-cursor select. Oh, I bet you I can't emit while I multi-cursor select. Womp womp, okay. Let's go lorem 10 in that one. Let's go lorem 50 in this one. Let's go lorem 30 in this one. Let's go lorem 20 in this one. Let's go lorem 35 in this one, okay? So we just got a bunch of text. I will pause here and say that what is going to be coming very soon is a markdown element. And essentially you're just gonna add a markdown element right here, and then you could do whatever you want with markdown, like paragraphs, lists, quotes, whatever you wanna do, okay? And it's gonna parse all of that out into blocks. So it's gonna be, instead of writing actual literal paragraphs in here like this, or lists or whatever, you're just gonna write this in markdown syntax and move on with your life. So if you didn't like what you just saw, because you're like, oh man, paragraphs, right? Yeah, I know, I get it. It's Markdown's coming, don't worry, Markdown is coming. All right, so what we wanna do is we want to columns this. You guys see I still write at, you know how many times I've used recipes in my life with the at syntax? It's definitely, you're gonna have to get comfortable with the change here. Okay, columns recipe right there. You guys see that one? Okay, look at what we've got here. Not just generic columns, guys. I mean, you know we don't just, you know we're not gonna do that to you, okay? Column count, I can just put in right here. So all I'm doing is messing with these little locally scoped variables. Like if I want 3, I can go 3. I can go more if there's room for more. I can go 1, whatever I want to do. These are automatically responsive, okay? So they are naturally going to scale down. Notice the difference between columns and grid. If you're new here again, columns flow across columns. Grid does not, okay? Grid would put all those paragraphs in one cell. Columns allows this content to flow freely across all of the available columns. If you wanted to also put these little, I can't remember what they're called right now, in the rules. They're called rulers. If you want to put the rulers in, you can do that. You could choose their color, like they could be, we can make them as ugly as we possibly wanted to. They could be dashed, right? And then you could control the min width of the columns. You could even set this to auto and just come in and set, you know, a min width, right? And this will control the amount of columns, keeping it automatically responsive. But if you want to set a static number of columns, you can, and then this controls their responsiveness. But again, who wants to write all this? You don't want to write all this. Did you even know you needed to write this part? This break inside a void on every direct child? Did you know you needed that? Okay. No, nobody wants to write all this. So you just do a little recipe and you move on with your life, and we got columns, okay? Now let's see what we might want to do here with, let's see what would need to, I don't know off the top of my head what would need to happen with masonry, but let's go image and let's put this in and let's do another one. Let's just duplicate all these, okay? And let's choose this. We're just playing around now. That's all we're doing. We're playing around, okay? We're gonna do this, because I know masonry for sure uses the columns module, okay? In CSS. Let's put this in. There you go. I think we're one too many images. Okay, we got enough in there. So let's just do fake masonry. And let's do the columns module again. Columns, recipe, there we go. Okay, so that's that. Oh, they're all the same aspect ratio. That is dumb. Okay, what I can do is, we can fake it though. We can still fake it. Nothing can stop us. Nth child even. We can force the aspect ratio to something else. 1/2. Lord, we're stretching her. Object fit cover. Let's get her back to normal, okay? She didn't come to yoga class for all that. Okay, oh, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do even and odd because of the way columns stack. It's actually not gonna stagger them the way that I thought that it would. Okay, that's fantastic. Let's do something random. N+1, is that gonna do us any good? Nth child N+2. There we go. Okay, I finally got them uneven. Okay, I don't know. There's a little bit of a, I don't know. Let's do 2. Okay. All right, and we're gonna have to width 100% these. Yeah, save. Okay, I mean, that's pretty masonry-ish. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty masonry-ish out of the gate. You can pretty much do it with the columns. I'll put in a dedicated masonry one just to clear up any confusion, but I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm in the feature max zone. We want to take that off. We want to go and let's just try and let's see if we can get a custom content width. You can't do important on these. Let's do max inline size of 800 pixels. Now, okay, we're gonna figure out the override on that. Okay, I think we're good there. We'll do a dedicated masonry module, but I mean that's pretty good, pretty good. Okay, the last one was line clamp. No, oh, and concentric radius. Line clamp. Oh, you're gonna love the concentric radius one. You're gonna love the concentric radius one. Okay, let's go get us a container, and let's go. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? What do we want to do? We just need some text. That's all we need. But I kind of need it in a card, you know, layout. Let's just do it with normal text. That's all we need to do. Let's just do it with normal text. So let's just do a P and let's do lorem 30. Okay. So that's a lot of text. I'm gonna put a max width on here. Let's do rand again. Let's do max inline size of 30 characters, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. We wanna clamp that to only 3 lines. So we've obviously got a lot of text. We're in a design situation. This happens in cards very often, for example, where we can't allow more than 3 lines because it's gonna break. You guys have seen this. Like Bev goes and crams all the text that she can find apparently into a narrow card. And now our card looks like a fucking skyscraper. It's like the Empire State Building. And Bev thinks that's okay. I mean, she leaves it that way. Like we can't allow that to happen, okay? Don't let them do this to your designs and your projects, all right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna line clamp it. So we're gonna say line clamp, and then we're gonna expand. And 3 happens to be the default, but there you go. And we just move on with our life, right? And this would normally be on a card, you know, card text class, whatever. So it would belong to that specific card. Remember, this is just a random example. But that's line clamp. If I wanted to change it to 4, it'd be 4 or 5, right? I control where it clamps. Just a little bit of a nice little recipe. Just cooking with recipes. Little recipes, little spice, you know? That's it. Pretty easy. Let's do concentric radius, okay? So I'm gonna explain to you what concentric radius is for those of you who are new here. All the OGs already know what all this stuff is, okay? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an image inside of this container, okay? And you know, I should have done, you know what, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. We gotta have a high res photo. Let's do yoga, okay? There we go, right there, she'll work. Let's go to, oh dear, come on, moving a little fast. All right, thank you. All right, let's go yoga 2, okay? Let's go squoosh, okay? Yoga 2, bring that in, 1920, web P, little drop in there, little drop right there. Let's come on back, where we at? All right, let's drop our image in. So we're gonna go image, and we are going to select from right there. Now we got a high-res photo to work with. Okay, my OCD is no longer offended. So I'm gonna say image wrapper, and I'm gonna say image. That'll do. I can even make this a figure if I wanted to. Let's just create BIM just for the hell of it, okay? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use, so a concentric radius is the inner item has its own radius. Typically, I argue that that is the radius you use everywhere on the website. And then the outer shell, the outer element has a larger radius so that it looks symmetrical, looks concentric. That's a big word, okay? I went to public school. I'll just be honest with you. I don't know what it means, okay? Concentric is the term though. And I believe off the top of my head, the formula is you take the radius, you add half of the padding of the container to the radius, and you get a mathematically accurate concentric radius. Who wants to do all that? You feel me? How about we just concentric radius and it's done? Oh my gosh. Let's put a little background on here, primary dark, okay? So we've got a shell, you know, and you might have put other stuff in here, you know? Maybe even a section intro, I don't know, right? Maybe now you're gonna come in here and you're gonna gap this, of content gap, and you're gonna go color of white, something like that. We're gonna need to add some color things to our heading as options, as you can see. And then I'm gonna go in here to our component and I'm gonna make sure that we have this, hey, why don't I go, I'm hitting the wrong keyboard shortcut. There we go, it's shift. Yes, I was hitting command. Let's go flex column, okay? And let's do gap of content gap specifically. Okay, we're not gonna just rely on that to happen. There we go. So we got like an intro in there. Now let's go to, I know this is kind of ugly, okay? We just whipped it together. But notice that when you come down here, let me zoom in, okay? There's your normal radius. There's your concentric radius. And then it's all set up for you because you might need to adjust the padding. You know, you're like, Kevin, I need to adjust. Hey, that's all good. I got you. L, XL, XXL, what you need, because that's just gonna keep recalculating every time you change the padding, okay? We can watch it happen in real time. Look at that, it's just recalculating. You don't need to know any of this stuff, okay? Just toss the recipe in there. Let the recipe do its job, all right? Great, that's concentric radius. I thought it was half the padding. We could look it up, you know? I thought it was half the padding. But if it is just the normal padding, then we can obviously fix that. It's very easy to fix. That is the general workflow, guys. It is variable first, recipe first, BIMified, fully scalable, fully maintainable, components, dynamic data, loops, and logic. You just build your site and Gutenberg authors and takes care of itself. I mean, case closed. And I mean, this is the warm-up phase. We're still, literally, the team, every time I see them, they're still in their warm-ups. They haven't even gotten out of the warm-ups yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so, it is what it is. Let's do some Q&A. Why do some recipes have important? Really good question. Let's go ahead and get that concentric radius recipe back and just take a look at it, okay? We don't have to make a concentric radius, but we'll just do rand on here, and we will ask for the concentric radius back. And we'll zoom in, and you'll see important right here. Why is it important? Because we have to set, in order to do the calculation properly, the formula has to know the padding value, which means we need to set the padding value with a token that we're calling padding. And we have to force that to happen. Because if somebody does some funny business and overrides the padding because they're like, oh, I'm doing padding and it's not working, and right? They're gonna break the concentric radius. So this is a situation where it literally is important. This line right here is literally important, okay? And so we mark it as important because that's gonna force the specificity to win. And then it tells people, essentially, they come here and they're like, what's going on? And oh, okay, I need to use that token right there, which is already, it says, see that? I can't zoom in any further, okay? Set padding here. See, the recipes even come with instructions in them, right? If you don't know what's going on, oh, it's the concentric radius, set padding here. Oh, got it, okay. I'm gonna set the padding here to whatever I want. You know what I'm saying? So that's it, you don't have to worry about the rest of it. And you could change the inner radius if you want, but it's set to your global radius by default. It does have a fallback in case you don't have one of those set. So yeah, all good. Okay, so hopefully that answers that. Make sure your questions are hashtag Q, or if you want a little demo of something, hashtag demo. Just for purposes of seeing something more interesting, I'm gonna go back and look at our homepage that we started. Look how far we got. Just casually, just a little of this, a little of that, you know? Bing, bang, boom kind of workflow. Pretty nice, okay? Let's go hashtag Q. I made the statement on Twitter, on Facebook, just to put this out there, just so everybody knows. This is the best thing that's happened to the block editor since the introduction of the block editor. Let's make no mistake about that. Now, there are a lot of people in WordPress who have talked a big game about how much they believe in the block editor project, how much they support things that integrate with the block editor. And those people have been very quiet on Etch. And I'm just gonna let you know, if they remain as quiet as they've been thus far, given what you are witnessing unfold, I just feel like these people have no credibility anymore. They're just not talking about the greatest thing that's happened to the block editor since the introduction, even though they're supposedly big supporters and defenders of the block editor. Because it's politics, there's going to be a lot of politics because the people who have been slaving over the block, they want things to happen a certain way. And they're going to start playing politics. I'm just letting you know, okay? They're either real or they're fake. They either have credibility or they don't have credibility, because this, to me, this can't be ignored. This is how custom block development literally should be done. Anybody that argues that, no, Kevin, it's a way better experience to dick around in VS Code and three different in my theme.json in my VS Code with 3 different languages. I gotta dig into React. I gotta dig in. And remember what I told you at the beginning, man. They don't even do that half the time. Not even half the 90% of the time. They install an ACF blocks dependency and they use ACF's block methodology to build custom blocks. That's what a lot of them are doing. They're not even doing it like the native route. So yeah, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out who's real, who's fake, who has credibility, and who doesn't have credibility. That's what we're gonna find out very soon. Okay. Figma file A. Christian, good looking out. Definitely would have forgot about it. Okay, we talked about a mini GUI. We've talked about GUI in code. We've talked about a lot of different things that are gonna help you with your CSS authoring. Whether you don't know much of CSS, you're not super comfortable with CSS, you just don't like writing CSS, I get it, doesn't matter what the explanation is. We're gonna help you. Recipes, as you saw, is one big area of help, but check this out, okay? This is a little bit of what we've got going on. Now, you may not know, if you're new here, right? That CSS box, these panels that you've been looking at the entire time can live anywhere, That's another great part of Etch, is that you have the ability to control this interface, put things where you want them to be, make them the size you want them to be. So we need to know, what are these controls gonna look like when they're vertical, when they're horizontal, right? There's a lot of things to figure out. So I'm gonna go back in here. When it's in a vertical position, it's gonna look something like this. I'm gonna explain the contextually aware aspect of this in just a second. You will be able to turn it on and off, depending on what you want or don't want. Okay, but here's what it would look like horizontal. So if I want flex row, I click this icon right here. If I want flex column, if I want a grid, if I want to do my alignments, here are all my alignments, okay? And on down the thing, your border controls, your images, background images, whatever it happens to be. Now, this is contextually aware of the currently selected element. So if I have a box, for example, it's gonna give me these controls. If I have something else, let's go down the list here. We're showing various states and such. Okay. All right, let's see where we've selected maybe a different. Okay, here you go. So like if it's a regular element, like a div, a section, a header, it's gonna have these types of controls. Text elements would have text-based controls, because that's what you would probably expect. Images would have image context controls. And that way we don't need a whole bunch of panels going on and all this other nonsense. What you need for the item you've selected at the time is at your fingertips, and not a lot of clutter, not a lot of screens to go through or panel inceptions or anything else going on, right? And that's gonna live right where you are already working. Look at this, it's gonna live right there. And you are also, by clicking the buttons, going to learn, oh, I wanted flex row. Oh, look what it just wrote right there for me. It wrote display flex, flex direction row. And when you've seen it write that about 1,700 times for you, you're probably gonna be like, I mean, if I needed to write that myself, I probably could, you know? You're gonna learn what's actually happening as you work, which is very nice as well. And you're gonna be able to see it and touch it and control the output, you know? It's gonna be fantastic. So that's a good little innovation. Now combine this with your recipes. Combine this with the concept of GUI encode, which is like, I'll show you an example of that. So let me go to the front end of this website right here. Let's just inspect something that has a background color computed. That's the body, so it's not gonna have one. Let's look at the button, inspect, okay? See this right here? See this little swatch? This is code right here, okay? Can I zoom in? I can never zoom in on this. This is all code. But you see there's a little interface inside of the code. Look at that, a little color picker. And you can choose between different color spaces, right? Oh, look, there's OKLCH. Look at that. That's our new color space in automatic CSS. Isn't that nice? So you have a little, this is a graphical user interface. I say GUI. It is a GUI in code. We don't need a panel necessarily for that kind of stuff. Okay, a little icon can just float right here next to your code, and you can interact with your code like that. We don't need a whole dedicated fucking 2011, 2012 era 2 panel, okay? We can be more innovative than that. We can be more innovative than that. So all of these things combined, right, are going to come together to make authoring CSS. Like there is not going to be an experience as good as this for authoring CSS, on top of all the other stuff we're making very, very easy and accessible. When will the GUI be implemented? That is literally, so when we get to, it's actually scheduled and slated for when we get to beta, which is right around the corner. So we probably got some cleanup to do from this Alpha 9. Maybe the next release is Beta 1. Maybe the next release is Alpha 10. Don't know yet. But we're very, very, very close to Beta 1. And as soon as we get to Beta 1, we had to get past the block authoring re-architecture. And this GUI in code is literally the next most important thing on the list, okay? We want to ship that with version 1.0 stable. So that's what we will start working on next. And we're really, really excited about it. Okay. I'm gonna get to questions. Let's get to questions. Okay. Was Lewis right about Gutenberg being a dumpster fire? Yes. Yes. Yeah, he was 100% right. He's 100% right. But there's nothing we can do about it now. I mean, there's nothing anybody can do about it. You know, the God King of WordPress has put all his chips in the block editor. So it is what it is. So does this mean now that Etch could theoretically be uninstalled from a site after development and the site will keep working and looking correct? That is correct. Not right now at this current time, but when phase 2 is done, yes, absolutely. That's our goal. The migration is only when updating from Alpha 8 or lower. Yes, and it's you want to do the migration one time on one page, and it does it the entire site, and it takes about 8 seconds. You just click a little button. You just go, yeah, I want to migrate, and it does it for you. Okay, Philip asked, how can I find out which Gutenberg is using my installation? Okay, I explained that. Hopefully you were here in the beginning, Philip. I did show how to inspect and find out. If you missed it, go back and watch that section. After update to Etch 1.0 Alpha 9, my rich text from Metabox CPT is no longer rich on the front end. It's still rich in Etch, and the front end is just simple text right now. How to fix. Just post in the community. There's going to be some edge case things here and there that we clean up. That's why it's either going to be Alpha 10 next that's going to clean those things up, or depending on the amount of them, I updated a bunch of sites before we did the release, and I was actually using quite complex components and such, and I had no problems. So, you know, it was pretty heavily tested. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to get to beta 1 like very quick, hopefully next week. But if you see anything like that, obviously you got to report it. You got to give us a link. You got to, and even better would be, because we told everybody, do a backup before, or back it up on a staging site, right? Or I mean, like, do it on a staging site and do the upgrade on a staging site and then migrate it after you've confirmed that it works, right? But best case scenario, if you want to help the team move faster, I'm in rocket.net, right? I can just one click create a staging site. Just one click create a staging site on Alpha 8. So before the upgrade happens, and send it to the team and say, hey, do the upgrade and watch what happens to my XYZ element. And then the team can go in, they can hit the upgrade button, they can look, and they can see exactly what happened during the upgrade, okay? That's better than kind of anything else. That's really helpful if you can just give them a sandbox, right? Okay. Why a media query and not a container query? This is the most popular question of Era 4 right now. And it's a good question. I will talk about it. Okay. So I used a media query for this hero section. I used a container query for this grid. The general rule of thumb, and I'm trying to simplify this for people as much as humanly possible, just to help you quickly wrap your brain around it. Okay. If the thing that you're building already touches the edge of the device, like this, a section goes edge to edge, okay? If it already touches the edge of the device is the only thing that is going to change its dimensions, okay? And especially if you're not gonna put that into any other like area of the site. If that's never gonna live in a smaller area, and it's a section, so why would it? Then you don't need to worry about container queries. Just use media queries. Media queries respond to the device size. The only thing controlling the size of this thing is a device, so media queries are fine. Now, if you look at this grid. This grid does not go to the edge of the screen. This grid is confined by a container that you can't see because it's invisible, but there is a container there, okay? If we went into Etch, you would see the literal container. So there it is. See this blue box, right? That is the container that is containing the grid items. And so in this case, we would want to use container queries because I might what if I wanted to drop this grid, that's why I call them lists now. Did you notice that? I used to say team grid, services grid, that grid, this. I don't call them that anymore. I just call them lists because that's semantically what they are. It is an unordered list, right? And it's only a grid when it has enough space to be a grid. But if I wanted it to be, if it's gonna be in a smaller space, it would stack, it wouldn't be a grid anymore, right? So it's just a list. And then the layout, I don't care about because I program it, right, to look like this if it has enough space. And if it doesn't have enough space, it will go down and it will look like this. Now I'm using the device to change that, but you could literally change it by just dragging it into a smaller space, like a sidebar, and it would do the exact same thing. And that's the advantage of container queries over media queries, that container queries look at their available space. They don't care what device the person is using. If you are on desktop, but you put this thing in a smaller space, it is going to respond to the smaller space. So that's the huge advantage of container queries. How do we change it to the iframe version? Can we force it? I don't think you can force it. You have to get rid of any plugins that are using pre-v3 API. It's a pain in the ass. WordPress can force it, but they need to put that in. They're going to put it in soon. They should have already done it a long time ago. Regarding auto grid, you said it doesn't add any empty extra space. What if you want that extra space so that all your items stay the same size if the data is being displayed dynamically? Let me think about this question. What if you want that extra space? Oh, like you wanted it to look like a traditional grid. We had a control for that in grid columns. Let me go to this loop. Let me do 4. There you go. So I'll just show you what I did real quick. It's just one little minor tweak. You gotta kind of know what's going on. Maybe I will create a little control point for that. but it's literally this word right here. Auto fit will make them stretch. Auto fill will leave the space that is not being occupied. And it will still be responsive. So it's just, you just change that, which is nice because this is only changing the behavior of your auto grid on team list. That's why recipes are king. Actually, recipes are not king. They are second to king. They are, what's one down? Prince? I don't know. I'm not from that era. Sorry. You know what would be king though? Well, it's kind of king. It depends on the situation you're in. But I can imagine something like this being a thing as well. It would actually be that. Okay. Now this is SAS. We're not going to put a SAS processor in there, but I want us to build our own. This is called a mix-in in SAS, and I want us to build our own mix-in functionality, like native mix-in functionality in Etch, where this one line right here would do all of what the code you were just looking at was doing. And you still can pass arguments like that or that, whatever arguments we decide to allow you to pass, right? But you could still manipulate it, but it keeps it in a closed, super hyper efficient, like little one line kind of deal. And that's in the future plans as well. Okay. Where was I? That was an auto grid, wasn't it? Auto grid. There you go. And then I'll just change this back to 5. You do have an aggressiveness control as well, which is how aggressively these will stack down. Because you can't set an exact minimum on this, right? If you want to be able to set an exact minimum, that's called a variable grid. Okay? Where now I can come in and I can say, hey, I want to set an exact minimum. I don't want them ever to get less than 250, and it'll start responding as soon as they start to get crushed towards 250. Okay, there you go. Good. Okay. This is all automatic CSS stuff, by the way. ACSS users have been doing this for a very, very long time, so they're all very familiar with this. And all of this stuff is in the ACSS documentation. We'll eventually migrate it to the Etch documentation because it's now native in Etch. You don't have to be an automatic CSS user to get access to these, which is good. Let's keep answering questions here. So we can deliver a site without Etch installed and not worry that if the client leaves us, they will not be able to easily find another local Etch dev. I mean, if they wanted to continue like iterating on the components and patterns that were already built or build new ones, like you're gonna do those things in Etch, right? But they won't need you to keep an Etch license active to make their site work, right? And it was already gonna be like that in the first place, but you would need to keep Etch installed. And now you don't need to keep Etch installed, at least when we get to phase 2. Hope there will be an Etch 101 series like there is ACSS. Oh yeah, well, it's just going to be called Page Building 101 Era 4, and it will use Etch, and I will show things that are possible in Etch that aren't possible in any other environment for WordPress, and that will be effectively an Etch 101. But it will also open everybody's eyes to like, you know, you should be able to do this stuff, and it should make it easy for you, you know? So that's going to be the king of all educational, because it's going to literally teach you web design, best practices, principles, workflows, all that stuff, while also being done in the interface that you hopefully happen to be using, and which is, by the way, the best interface for learning. Because you can't learn. How do you learn if you can't even see the code that's being written? I mean, that's what kind of institution would you set up? What kind of educational institution? Well, we're going to teach them all these principles and practices, but we're not going to let them see what's happening behind the scenes. Like what? What? So this is the best educational tool for web design. It's the best development tool for web design. I've already proven that it's faster and more efficient than, you know, all the easy tools, the easy ones, right? I use it because it's easy, Kevin. I use it because it's fast, Kevin. No, it's not. It's not. No, this is Easy and fast comes from knowing what you're doing versus not knowing what you're doing. That's what I've made very, very clear as of late, right? The more you know what you're doing, the faster you are going to work, especially if the tool gives you the proper routes that it knows you need as a person who knows what they're doing. If you go watch people who don't really know what they're doing use Elementor or Divi because it's easier and it's quicker or whatever, you will watch them dick around for hours and not get much done. You will watch that. I've watched it myself on videos. There's this claim that it's faster and easier, but then you go watch people do it and you're like, that doesn't look easy or fast. So what's going on here, right? It's all a charade. It's all nonsense. It's all marketing. It means nothing. It means nothing. Okay. You sometimes put the props in curly brackets and sometimes you don't. When are they needed and when not? Marcel, it's a fantastic question, buddy. It's a fantastic question. And it is a very, very simple answer. And once I've answered it one time, you will know forever. You will have true empowerment. Okay, here's where we're gonna go. We're gonna go to team card, section intro, because I had conditional logic in our section intro, okay? So here's our section intro right here. And you will see that brackets for props dot heading, okay? You will see on the if condition, no brackets. So what is going on here, okay? Well, let's look at the actual code itself. So anytime brackets are already present, because the if is what establishes the brackets. You see that? You can see them right here and here on the closing and opening tags. There are already brackets established. Therefore, the props.hasLead does not need bracket. You don't go brackets and brackets. There's not brackets and brackets and brackets, okay? It's just clean. Just keep it clean, okay? If we look at this heading, the heading does not establish any brackets. So we need brackets for the prop, for the dynamic data, okay? So if there's no brackets established yet by anything, then like what else establishes brackets? Where's our loop? Let's go to our loop right here. Okay, let's look in here. Loop establishes brackets. So if you were gonna use dynamic data in here for your loop source, you would not use brackets because you can't go brackets and brackets. Don't do the brackets and brackets thing, right? So keep it clean if there's already brackets. If there's no bracket, you don't see any brackets, you need to write some brackets, okay? That's it. That's a simple rule, and it's the same everywhere. So once you know, you know. Let's see. Can you make the image touch only one side of the screen? Yeah, I mean, theoretically. I haven't tested the entirety of Content Grid on here. And I think I even took off, let's put it back, okay? Let's just see what we've got going on. Content Grid. Okay, whoops. I did not expand. Content Grid. Okay, there's my recipe. What did we remember was wrong with it first? Oh, it wasn't resetting the padding, was it? So let's do padding inline of 0, just to make sure. I think these things can now go full width. So we'll take our inner and we will go grid column. Let's do full to start. Okay, so there's your full working. And I believe we go start to full, what is it? Content start over full. Bing, bang, done. Didn't even have to read the documentation. It's been a while since I've done some content gritty stuff. But there you go. Now it's touching the edge of the screen on the right. It's perfectly aligned with content on the left because it's going from one zone to another zone. It's going, we'll just review that real quick. It's going from the start of the content zone to the end of the full zone, okay? And of course you can do feature to full, feature max to full to full, whatever, you know, full to content end. So there's starts and ends involved there. But yeah, it's as easy as that, you know? It's as easy as that. And what's great is I can put in other things into this hero if I wanted to, right? That will not be affected by that rule and will not be affected by the content grid. It will just live the way it's normally supposed to live. Content grid is a phenomenal, and this is just the surface of content grid. It is a phenomenal layout structure. Want to make an icon card where the icon is in the top, similar to the auto counting cards you made about 6 to 7. Is this a 6, 7 fucking joke? Is that what you're doing to me, Andre? Like my kids? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing here? I feel like I'm here. That's got to be what he's doing, right? Maybe I just have PTSD from my kids. I don't know. It could be. Where the icon is in the top, similar to the auto counting cards. Yeah, I mean, you could do that for sure. Yeah, auto counting cards. What we should do, I'm gonna make a note. I'm gonna make a note right now. We need a recipe for auto counting cards. Recipe for auto counting. It's not just for cards. It's just, we need a recipe for auto counting. That's what we need. Hey, I got you. Next update. You're gonna auto count like your life depends on it. All right. Any update on looping external sources? That will be coming. Don't worry. There's some other things we got to get through first, but the infrastructure is already in place. So we just got to be able to prioritize it. Okay. I mean, people keep asking this different ways, I don't know how else to answer it. Everything that you build will work without Etch. That's just it. Whether you deactivate Etch or remove Etch or whatever, everything will still work. Everything will look the way it's supposed to look, function the way it's supposed to function. That's the goal anyway. That's the goal. We think it's very achievable. There's another layer that we have to build, but it's very, very, very promising. You said you can share a block after creating it in Etch. I'm assuming that means the CSS.js is being saved to the elements. If you build a site in Etch, you can remove Etch and the site still works. Yeah, the CSS in JavaScript is already attached to elements. That's how copy and paste works. So if I copy and paste an element with JavaScript and whatever else in it, it all comes with it. It's everything is a little mini package, right? This was, by the way, the downfall of the native block editor pattern library. That does not happen. None of that can be possible. You can't write any custom CSS for patterns that you hope to share with people in the native pattern library in WordPress. They didn't think that through. So that's like a nail in the coffin almost to the entire concept of a pattern library. Like, whoa, I have to do all this without any custom CSS and these little beginner controls you gave, these little Fisher-Price slider controls you gave me. I can't do any. The only thing you can do is like, the most basic of basic stuff. Or you got to build a custom block. Now you're in VS Code so all you wanted to do was create a pattern with a little snippet of JavaScript, some custom CSS or something. Now you're in React and PHP and an ACF dependency and VS. You're not even in WordPress anymore. You're in VS Code over here, but you got to go back into WordPress to see if all your shit's working, don't you? Right? Flipping back and forth constantly. Anybody that tries to sell you that workflow, this was the entire concept of a unified visual development environment. We don't want to do all that. I just want to build the way I've been building in a hyper efficient tool that really speeds up my workflow, that keeps things super clean and makes it scalable and maintainable. And how about the block authoring thing that nobody wants to deal with just happens automatically? How about that? Well, that's what you get. Okay, can we use shortcodes in Etch? Soon. I mean, technically you can. You can use them in the block editor using the shortcode element and they'll pass through Etch. But very soon you will be able to just paste a shortcode into Etch. There will be a little shortcode element down here you add and you'll be good to go. Can the auto grid initial column count be made a prop? It already is a prop. It already is. Oh, you mean a prop in a component? Absolutely. Absolutely it can. Absolutely it can. Yeah, it can. So let me show you. So we have this team list right here. This one's not using auto grid. I mean, I could switch it real quick because I don't have to write anything. I mean, there's no cost to switching it, right? Let's do auto grid. Bang, there it is. So this column count right here, literally all you have to do. So you have this team list, which you would turn into a component, okay? Probably if you're gonna make this usable for the, if you're gonna make it usable for like a bev and you're gonna let her choose the initial number of items or whatever, soon we're gonna have truly nested component capability where this makes this a lot easier. Right now, you would probably wanna use a slot situation, okay? So I would do a slot in my team list. I'd put the team card in the team list. And then, but to answer your question, what you would do, you're gonna create an inline style, okay? So you're gonna go style equals, and then this column count right here, this variable that's already there, column count, would be props.count or props.callCount or whatever you decide to call it. And so the prop passes its value into an inline style tag that overrides this column count right here. And now the user suddenly has the ability to control the column count. It's literally that easy. But you would have to make a component out of your team list and then make a slot and then put all this in the slot, and then you would be good to go. That's just not how we architected it initially. When will it be possible to do something like add a team member to the team CPT database from the team block in Gutenberg? Hold on. Let me clear the cobwebs out. Let's try that again. Will it be possible to do something, add a team member to the team CPT database from the team block in Gutenberg? Here's how I could envision that happening. So if we go into Gutenberg and we clicked on this component right here, over in the sidebar, it might recognize, hey, this is being looped by the team CPT. Well, let's give them a little button right here that says add team member. And they could click there, but it would probably still do to, I don't know how, this is a UX situation that we'd have to figure out. But essentially it's gonna add them, it's gonna add a post in the CPT. It's gonna need to expose the title field and the featured image field, whatever other fields are involved. Is it doable? Yeah, for sure it's doable. It's a little bit more icing on the cake kind of situation. So it wouldn't be prioritized anytime soon if I'm being honest, but is it possible? Yeah. And is it a good idea? Yeah, I think it is. So remind us, a little later into the future. We can take a second look at it. Do you present Etch still as not a builder? Seems like a builder to me. It is I'll just explain this for the 1000th time. It is a visual development environment. We call it a unified visual development environment. I'm gonna go in and show you a couple other things to help answer this question. So for example, we have the Content Hub, right? This is where you can see all of your posts and all of your pages. You can manage your content. Here's all of my team. I can add more team members right from here if I want to. I can add new custom field groups and assign them. I can add CPTs, custom post types right here. I can manage my content. If I want to manage my media, I can manage my media from right here. Right now it's just the native WordPress media library, but there will be a custom Etch media library that allows you to tag and sort and filter and do all the shit you've wanted to do for years in WordPress, and they, for some reason, haven't given it to you yet, right? I don't think they like you very much. I don't know. I'm just starting to wonder. Maybe they just don't like us that much. Maybe that's what it is, okay? But you're gonna be able to do, and then you're gonna be able to loop through media galleries, like loop through tags, loop through whatever you want to do, sort and filter with facets and all this other stuff. You're gonna be able to do all that natively inside of Etch, right? You're authoring HTML, you're authoring CSS, element level CSS with tree shaking and copy paste and all this other, and recipes and auto vars and auto calcs. And then, what else are you doing? Authoring JavaScript. Let me turn that on real quick. You can attach JavaScript, custom JavaScript to any of these elements. Okay, that JavaScript lives with that element. You're gonna be able to author PHP in here in the very near future. We're waiting on some security stuff that has to happen for that. This is a unified, to call this a page builder, likening it to the existing tools on the market, like Elementor or Divi, or where you clearly can't do any of those things, okay? So is it the same thing? It seems like it's different. It seems like there's other things going on. And the metaphor that I've used is you have a phone, right? So imagine, like now we just say, hey, you have your phone on you. Yeah, and you pull out this, iPhone 16 or whatever it is. Now, what if in 1999, someone was like, do you have a phone? And I whipped out fucking iPhone 16, they would have been like, what is that? What's going on there, right? Do we still call that a phone? Like now we do because we're used to it, right? But clearly, a rotary thing or like a brick, travel phone that we used to have in remember the old cars? The whole bag, you need a whole carrying case for the phone, right? And all you can do is punch some buttons on it. That's all you can do. Are these things the same thing? Is it just a phone? People are like, oh, it's a page book. Like, no, that's people who are being intellectually dishonest. That's what they're doing. That's back to politics. They're playing politics with you. They're being intellectually dishonest because we can all see with our eyes, well, this is a very different thing. It's doing very different things in very different ways. We haven't seen these things before. And I could do things that I can't do in these others. So there's a clear distinction should be made. And that's why we've coined the term unified visual development environment. We are unifying the entire workflow. By the way, did you forget about Gutenberg? You forgot that everything was automatically authored to custom blocks, right? Where else is that happening? Okay. So clearly something is happening that's different from the page builders, right, in WordPress. That's the answer to that question. But I think, people will hear that explanation and they'll either accept it or they'll continue to be intellectually dishonest. Okay. I'm just checking on the chat now. I think we got through most of the questions. Yeah, time does fly, man. 4 o'clock. That's 2 hours. I think we got to get out of here, I see a lot of good supportive comments in the chat. That's always always welcome and appreciated. Looking good, looking good, looking good. This one's the last one that's going to slip in. I don't know what this is called, but is color mix better for adding transparency? HSL from. Yeah, so that is, I'm going to put that on the screen. Oh, I already did. That is called relative color syntax. Relative color syntax. Can I use? Womp womp. Nah, we're not quite there yet. Not quite there. Let's check on color mix here. Where are we at with color mix? Bit better. I like to see 92. Personally, I like to see 92. We're very close. We're very close. But as you can see, supported in all major browsers. Okay. What are we waiting on for relative color syntax? It's supported. Here's partial support, and Samsung and Opera need to get their act together. It's very close though. Both of them are very close. Relative color syntax is insanely powerful. I really like. That's why I'll let you in on a secret. Okay, that's why in ACSS 4.0 I stripped out all color partials because we don't need them anymore with relative color syntax. So I'll show you an example. If we were doing a color here, okay, and we wanted to do OKLCH, right? OKLCH, or you wanted to do HSL. Now, let's get on the same page. We have a color called primary. I don't know by looking at this token what color space this is mapped to. Is that hex? Is that HSL? Is that OKLCH? Is that what is it? Is it OKLab? I don't know. Guess what? I don't have to care anymore. Look at the magic that they made here. Look at the magic that they made. So now you can go, I want to work in OKLCH. So you say OKLCH from var primary, that token right there, from var primary. And then I go LCH, and then I can even put in my transparency value here. One would be opaque. I think that's a word for it, right? And then any degree of transparency that you wanted. okay? But it is now converting primary to OKLCH. But that's not all. That's not all, right? What if I wanted to manipulate the lightness, the chroma, or the hue? I could put my own value in here. Instead of the L is just gonna reference whatever the L calculates to. But what if I wanted to put my own L? I can just put my own L. What if I wanted to calc the L and make it 15% higher than what it already is? I can calc the L. Relative color syntax is, it's like, it's just it's absolute jujitsu with colors in CSS. Phenomenal stuff. So we used to need partials, a whole library of color partials to do this kind of stuff. And now we don't need any of that anymore. That's all dead weight. Get rid of it. Don't need it. And we stripped it out of ACSS 4.0. That's it. I don't know. You guys have extracted all I have for today. Okay? So I'm going to put this one in the books. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your excitement. There is a lot to be excited about in WordPress right now. I'm starting to get emails now. This is how you know you're doing it right. This is how you know you're winning, okay? Getting a lot of emails now that are literally like, I haven't had this much fun building in WordPress in years and years and years. And there's people who have seen it from the outside that went to the Webflows, that went to the wherevers they went to, and they're like, I'm coming back to WordPress now because of this editing experience, this authoring experience, this development experience. It's bringing people back that we're leaving, okay? That's how you know we're winning. So we got to keep up the fight. We got to keep spreading the word, and we got to keep recruiting more people, okay? So get the word out, and I'll be back again very soon. Peace.